morning. Let me mute you. I'm going to mute you because I'm just hearing background noise. You need to jump in at is a *6. Good morning. My name is Marty Hicks. It is August 16th, a little bit after 9 o'clock. The call today is called Are You Stuffing It? You can check out any previous call. It's been recorded. It's on my website, Hello Extraordinary Life, under Insider Calls. There's also some blogs on that site. There are ways to reach out for one-on-one coaching or for group coaching on that website. There are also blogs from various topics and personal experiences that you might find helpful. So check out helloextraordinarylife.com. The topic today, are you stuffing it? I am, of course, referring to emotions. How often do we stuff our emotions? And how many ways do we stuff them? We stuff them in a myriad of ways I have observed over our human experience in this world, from acting like they're not real, my feelings aren't real, that didn't really happen, make it up in my head. I justify what I think I'm feeling. I possibly hide it behind some other emotion. What's really going on, we often will hide it under some other emotion like anger, depression, humor. We'll cover it up. We might feel something and ignore the feeling, and then we eat over it, or we drink over it, or we might harm ourselves over it. Ultimately, it will come out sideways. We might blame others for how we feel. And if you can think of any other ways that we stuff it, when I open the call, you can share that. What other ways do we stuff our emotions? And then what happens when we do these things to ourselves? When we've felt something and we stuffed it. I used to call it, I had an overstuffed suitcase, and I just kept stuffing and stuffing and stuffing until it's just coming out everywhere because I haven't been owning or acknowledging my feelings. And here are several ways I've noticed that they show up, not just for me, but for people, for human beings in general, when we are stuffing our emotions and our feelings. I mentioned this already. It comes out sideways. I start acting out in ways by being snide, bitchy, short with people. What other ways? Critical, judgmental. That's what I mean when it's coming out sideways. I get short with my husband. I'll start getting short with him. And then I look at my son and I'm like, what is that? Because he didn't do anything, right? So I may rage over it. I'll be stuffing it for a while, and then suddenly it's coming out in this raging way that's over the top based on the circumstance. I may get sick over it. I have seen a lot of people. I have interviewed some people who have had cancer. Some of them have died. Some are still alive. The common thing for them, anger. They've been just angry people. And that's one of the things that we'll hide a lot of our emotions behind is anger. Anger is not really an emotion. It's a reaction. It's a protection. I might avoid it. Just avoid my feelings. Just pretend they're not even there. I pretend I'm good. That's another way I'll do it. I pretend I'm good. Or I try harder to please the person that created the offense or that I'm hurt by, because I want them to like me and I want it to be okay and I want to fix it. I distract myself with other stuff. I was just speaking with someone who is really, really busy. She does a whole lot of stuff, and we all have a lot of stuff on our plate. Sometimes we do those things, we keep doing, and if there's not something to do, we'll make something to do so that I don't have to feel what I'm feeling, whatever it might be. And it may be that we've never given ourselves permission to feel our feelings because it wasn't acceptable when we were children. Children were to be seen and not heard. If you're going to cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about. Those things, we weren't allowed to have normal, everyday feelings to life. So what can we do about it? How can we feel them instead of stuffing them? Here are some of the tools I've learned over the years. Pause. The big one for me. Pause. I feel something. Pause. To do nothing in the moment. Just pause and breathe. Really deep breath. At least one, if not more. The breathing, when we are mindfully breathing, alters the chemistry in our body from that reaction. It disrupts the signal of the reaction. So when I'm mindful and I pause and I take that deep breath, I have a moment of reprieve where I can tap into behind, let's say, my anger. That's my default emotion. For some, it's depression. For some, it's just walking away. So sometimes we just need to pause and breathe. That's one of the ways to feel. Feel it. Just feel it. Feel what you feel. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you're feeling something. What is that feeling? Then maybe there's a decision to do something, to speak it out or to have a boundary with someone. But if we don't know what we're feeling and we're just reacting, then there's really no way to be effective in creating those boundaries or conversations with people because we're not even clear. And I get to censor, behind all that, I get to censor or filter what comes out of my mouth. Sometimes there's no filter. I'll censor it instead. I get to decide, is it appropriate to say something right here? Or do I need to just be quiet? It's all about delivery. It's all about delivery. And sometimes it's not going to matter how we deliver it. It may not land very well for someone else when I have a feeling. I just get to own it. I'm responsible for my choice to speak or not. I'm also responsible for the consequences of my choices. If I decide to not speak and I walk around carrying a resentment, I get to be responsible for that choice and that consequence. And then beyond that, decide what to do. Because I always revisit. I can always come back and revisit. When this happened, this is how it landed for me. Like I get to take ownership of that. And I may not always do that in the moment because sometimes I don't even know what the hell I'm feeling in the moment. Just know I had some feeling. And until I can actually look at what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling that, it may be best to say nothing. So I can always come back and revisit this with someone. It may not happen in the moment. As time goes on, doing that, identifying the feeling, gets a little easier. And for me today, it happens a lot quicker. I can identify a lot quicker. Sometimes I can't, though. Sometimes there's a deeper healing occurring and a deeper trigger that happens by someone, usually someone close to us. And sometimes in that moment, I don't know. I just have to go away and do some things like writing or speaking with someone to get clear for myself about what I'm really feeling. It's really behind my anger reaction or my shut down reaction. That's another thing that we might do to not feel. Shut down. So the other piece of that owning them is I don't get to be a victim in it. Not anymore. I don't get to be a victim and blame them for how I'm feeling. They may have been a cause in what I'm feeling, but they are not to blame for what I'm feeling because I made it mean something. Maybe they're just being an asshole, but that doesn't mean that they're to blame because I didn't let it just roll off my back, let's just say. Or maybe they spoke some truth, which is why I'm hurt and angry. And I'm having a feeling about that. It's all kinds of ways that it shows up. And if you just don't know how to handle it or your reaction to it, sometimes it's just best to do nothing until you do know. Because otherwise, if I don't know what I'm feeling and I'm not clear about what I'm feeling, I'm going to make a bigger mess trying to figure it out with the person because now I'm just having my reaction to it. So for me, it's been better for me to go get clear, either by doing the writing or doing the calling someone, or maybe I pray about it and I ask Spirit for help, whatever it is that works for you in that way. It's important, though, for me, and I think for everyone, to not go create bigger messes. Sometimes we like that drama. I'm just not about that drama today. So I don't want to go make a bigger mess that I have to go clean up. And I also don't want to manufacture something that's not there, because I'm good at that. When we are triggered by something or someone, and it's deep trigger, it's an intense reaction, we can fall into what we often will call old behaviors. They're not really old. I just don't live in that place anymore. I don't live in those same behaviors that I'm having this reaction. And I don't get to call it old if it's still showing up. It just means I'm revisiting a deeper layer. And I have my default. Most of us have a default pattern or emotion that we fall into. Mine is anger. Some people shut down. I know several people who just shut down. That's their MO, is to shut down. So when it's really something big and intense, they may shut down and do nothing because they don't know what to do. The other piece of my MO is to people please. And I will try to keep the peace at any cost. So when I have this situation a few weeks ago, in the moment that this happened, I was silent for probably a whole minute. And then I said, I'm hurt, I'm angry, and I want to lash out. And at that point, I think it would have been better for me, in looking back, if I had hung up the phone. But instead, I stayed on the phone and had some more conversation and found myself doing that people-pleasing and trying to keep the peace. I'm hurt, I'm deeply hurt, and here I'm trying to console her because I want to keep the peace. And that's not, it doesn't work for me anymore. It's not effective. So that's why I share that piece like that. That default behavior, that old behaviors, we call them often. And when I've done that, I often regret it. I often regret that I've tried to keep the peace because I've compromised myself in that moment. Now, I can go clean it up with myself, but in the moment, I just go, why did I do that again? Oh, well, because there's some more healing to do, right? Another thing that we get to do with these feelings, if we choose, is to totally sit with them. Sit in it, sit with it. Maybe give yourself a time limit because we don't want to wallow in it. But feel it all the way through to the other side. Oh, I did not like this when I got this instruction from someone. It was not comfortable. It did not feel good. I did not want to sit in that feeling. I was afraid if I sat in that feeling that I would never get out of it. Whether it's anger, grief, it's usually the heavy emotions. And sometimes it can even be the happiness. It can be the other side of those emotions because those are just as equally uncomfortable if we've not experienced them before. Because we have that set point. And if I get too happy or too sad, I'm going to come back to that place where I'm comfortable. And when we're doing this stuff, this transformative work, we're raising the bar, which means we feel all of the emotions, every single one of them, deeper. As deeply as I can feel my anger or my depression or my sorrow is also equally as deeply as I can love and have compassion and joy. And when I first learned that, it scared me. I knew how to be angry. I knew how to feel those things. I did not know how to feel happy. And that really scared me that I could be that happy as angry as I was. Phew, that's a tall order. I'm not sure I've arrived even, but I'm certainly raising the bar every day. And one of the ways was to feel the feelings all the way through to the other side. Because when I'm angry, there's something always under it. There's something more under it. And when I can sit and ride it all the way through to the other side, that's where all the gifts are. And that's where I get to see what may be really going on and what really needs some healing. And I get to honor that. I get past that initial reaction and get to the heart of it, get to the heart of what's going on. And then I can decide what to do with it. And I have some choices about where to go with those feelings, whether it be to just simply write them down, journal them, share them with someone. Maybe I go back to the person, depending on how close we are, and share with them. Maybe I just accept it for myself and give myself permission to feel it. That's one of the things that a lot of us don't do. Give ourselves permission to feel. And it's a beautiful, amazing, extraordinary experience when we allow ourselves to go there. But on the front side, it feels pretty darn scary and pretty darn daunting. So I encourage you and invite you to give yourself permission to feel behind the initial reaction and the initial feeling. Get to what's really going on, because that's where the beauty is, and that's where the light comes out. And then you get to share it and help other people along their way. Yeah. It's been amazing. I am complete with what I have to share about that. I'm going to unmute you. Okay. How was that for you?
Very good.
Awesome. Did you get anything?
Pardon?
Did you get anything good out of that, or did you have more?
Yes, I have a lot to say.
Good, I think.
Starting with today.
Okay. I just want to remind you that you're being recorded. I just want to make sure you're okay with that.
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. I just want to be clear.
I have, for instance, just before we connected, my husband said to me, he looked at the computer. He came over to give me a kiss goodbye. He looked at the computer, and he saw I had Delta Airlines up there. He said, "You're not really going to New Jersey, are you?" And I talked to him yesterday about it, and he didn't care what I did. Now all of a sudden it's, "Are you serious?" Well, yes, I was serious.
Right.
But I put him off because of this conversation, and I said, "We'll talk later."
Good choice.
But that's what I chose to do. This was important to me, and I didn't want to get into a discussion about it, but I have to tell you, immediately I was angry.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards, I could feel it in the pit of my stomach.
Yes.
So, I hear what you're saying. But really, when you're talking about your feelings, I feel that I need time to reflect.
Sure.
So that I find what is behind the anger, because that is the question.
Mm-hmm.
Anger comes up, but there's a feeling behind it. Why am I mad about that? Why would I be mad about that? And, that goes to our pattern of communications.
Absolutely.
I get angry, and it's just like you say. I respond with a snide remark. When I responded back to him, even though I was saying, we can talk later, my voice was raised. I had a serious attitude about it, kind of like I'm defending myself.
Yes. Yes.
And that happens quite frequently when I feel that I have made a decision and he disagrees with me. I feel that I have to make my case.
Right.
As if I was in court.
Yes.
And explain. And already I have determined that he's not going to get it because this trip is about emotions for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the fact that when I left my sister, I never saw her cry like that. And she kept saying, I may never see you again. And I try to comfort her. I said to her, if you need something, I will be on the plane that day. I will be here the same day. If you want me here, I will be here. And she knows that logically.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, she had the feeling she was never going to see me again, and like I'm saying, I never saw her cry like that. And it played on my emotions because, John was saying, well, should I drive away or you want me to stop? And he was already rolling. I said, just go. Because I knew if we stopped, it was going to be difficult for me to leave.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So, he said to me yesterday, well, I just thought that you would, wait a while. Well, I don't want to wait a while. I don't want to go there after October. It's going to be freaking cold. I'm going to have to wait till May. It can snow in May. And I'm saying to myself, now I think this is logically, I'm saying, why wait? What is there to wait for?
Is your sister sick?
Pardon? No. Well, she's telling me after she turned 75, she started to fall apart. And my brother-in-law is 80, and he's got stuff going on. My nephew is living there.
Got it. So let's
get
the whole fear conversation, the anger conversation, because I hear that. I hear it, and you have a power with your husband. So
So that's playing on my emotions.
Sure it is. And what I've been told along the way, along this journey, is that always under the anger there is fear. So I might look at what is feeling threatened, because I hear like maybe you're feeling threatened that by John's reaction that you might not get to see your sister again. Right?
Well, my attitude.
There's a threat.
Yeah, when I'm. Go ahead, honey.
Control, like I'm not in control.
Yes, right.
And he said, there's several things. So he said one thing, and then yesterday, and then he said something else this morning, and now you have this whole reaction to it. So I might take a look at what's behind that, like what's the fear behind it.
Yeah.
It'll take some time to work this out because y'all have your dance that you've created for a long time.
I'll have my what?
Your dance. Your dance.
Yeah.
The dance that you do together, you and John. You have had this dance for many, many years.
Yeah.
It takes a little time to undo. And then when we share those things, those feelings and those emotions that are happening, for me, it leaves me feeling vulnerable. And if I don't feel safe, I'm not sure I want to go reveal my emotions and feel vulnerable, which is why it's so important for us to take ownership. of our own feelings. Like, this is how it landed for me.
Mhm.
And when I say that to Lou, he'll go, "Oh, that was not my intention."
Yes.
So it's all, it's all about that communication.
Mhm.
So, is that helpful?
Well, yes, I am going to a meditation group this morning.
Good.
And that will be a good time to reflect. But I really feel the need to reflect rather than respond emotionally.
Good idea. It's a very good idea.
Yeah, that's what I've been working on. There are times when I sit there and, he will say this or that about what I've done around the house, or, I would do it differently. And I try to at least not be negative. In other words, I don't have to respond at all. I can say okay and let it go, even if it takes me a minute to sit, half a minute to sit there and say, yeah, I'm able to at least say okay, or, really what I feel like I should be saying is, I will consider that.
Well, but you're making progress.
Mm-hmm.
You're making progress. And that's huge, given many of our conversations. So,
you think it's huge?
I think it's huge. It's important to acknowledge those little steps.
Well, right? It's part of the mindfulness.
Right? It may look and feel like it's a small thing, but it has huge effect. It has big, profound effects, especially when we're consistent in that pause. That's what you're doing, is you're pausing.
Well, things have become less explosive.
Picture, yes. See? So in the bigger picture, it starts to pay off in ways that we have no idea about until we see the longer-term results. And then it gets easier. Practicing is easier. It gets easier over time, where you just actually, like, there is no real reaction. You just automatically start pausing. Because that's what you do. And I want to end the recording right there.
Okay.
I want to say thank you. Hold on. Let me stop the recording.